I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna shout, I'm gonna let the reason out that his love goes on forever. I'm gonna take it all the way, I'm gonna pray.
Hey, thanks for joining us here in the Maple Minute on this Thursday, April 1st, 2021. I'm Pastor Bill, and I'm glad you're tuning in so you won't be an April Fool. And that's what we're all trying to do. Hey, take just a moment before we get into today's thing. Let me ask you to do something for us. If you're watching on Facebook, would you like this and then share this so that all your friends can see this? Drop us some comments about how you're doing in your journey with Jesus. And if there's anything we can do to help you, would you just give us a note? If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and then click the notifications button so that you get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also should be able to make some comments to the video there if you're watching on YouTube. So we encourage you to do that too. We really want to hear from you. It's not a one-way road here. We want to be able to connect and help you out. We've been on this journey for quite some time, as we explained every time, that, hey, we're trying to figure out what the meaning of life's all about, and Solomon is our tour guide. He's looking at life, and remember, he's the wisest man to have ever lived. He's looking at life through the lens of under the sun, which is life without God. And in our studies, we found that Solomon, as he wraps up the book of Ecclesiastes, he's giving us some precepts about life as we know it, and trying to help us make sense of all the things he's talked about in his journey here as he wraps it up and answers that final question: what is really the meaning of life? Where is happiness found? And so last time we started this journey in the wrap up, the conclusion, and we understood that life is uncertain, so we need to embrace it. That's the whole idea. Embrace life because we don't know. Today we're going to talk about the fact that life is short, so we should enjoy it. That's one of those realities in life. And life is very short. The older I get, the more I realize how fast life is moving. And if you're a young person watching, or you're watching with your parents today, you probably feel like you have forever to live. But I want you to know it goes by very quickly. So how do we enjoy life? Solomon, as he gives us this wrap up on life, he tells us to enjoy life, but he doesn't just leave us hanging with that statement. He suggests 4 specific ways that we should consider how we can enjoy a short life. The first one, he tells us, is to enjoy each day totally. Enjoy each day totally. And that's great advice there. In verses 7 and 8 of Ecclesiastes chapter 11, he says, "Light is sweet and it is pleasant for the eyes to see the sun." That's a good thing. Isn't it great when you have sunny days, nice sunny days, as we've gotten away from some of the rain, I hope, and it's just beautiful out, and the weather starts turning better, and we can do more outside. He says, so if a person lives many years, let him rejoice in all of them. That's that enjoy life thing. But let him remember that the days of darkness will be many. All that comes is vanity. You know, he's once again, Solomon is an old man as he's writing this, and he's trying to give some precepts maybe to his son or just some young men, young ladies in life. And he just says, hey, you know what? Enjoy your life. Live every day, because you don't know, the next day might not be a good one. There's going to be good days and bad days. And I think Solomon, as he looks back over his life, remembers some of the good things when he was good with God. But you know Solomon's story, he turned his back on God. He got hooked up in idolatry, and some women that were in his life, he had too many of them, by the way, they led him astray, and he ended up following false teachings, false beliefs, and that's the struggle of his heart. See, we don't know how long we're going to live. Some people have lived for incredibly long amounts. Others have been cut short in the prime of their life. So what Solomon would encourage us here in this passage is live your life with passion and live every day. I know it's hard sometimes as we get up and we have aches and pains, and sometimes we have bad things happen, but let's enjoy it. Enjoy every day totally. We need to embrace that truth. David wrote over in Psalm 113 verse 3, he said, "From the rising of the sun to its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised." That's probably the best way to live a good life, to enjoy every day. Get up and count your blessings. Get up and praise God because it's right, because it's appropriate, and because it's commanded in the Bible. But really, those are true. All those things I just said are true. But the truth is, praising God actually has a radical benefit on our own lives. That's the truth. Robert Louis Stevenson, the famed author, he said this: the man who forgets to be grateful has fallen asleep in life. Wake up, get up. And you know what? Let's enjoy life. I know there's been plenty of bad things in the last couple of years, but you know what? Every day is a new day. Enjoy every day totally. The second thing he tells us to do, because life is short, enjoy your youth thoroughly. Now, some of us watching this may say, well, I'm not young anymore. Okay. Solomon, as he wrote this, he wasn't young either. He was nearing the end of his life, and he's sort of reminiscing, and some of it is the reminiscence of regret because of what he went through. In verses 9 and 10, he says great advice, some of the best verses ever for young people. He says, rejoice, O young man. That's a general term too. It could be rejoice, O young person, if you're offended by that. Rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart. That doesn't seem right. We always tell people, don't follow your heart. And here Solomon's saying, follow your heart. But he keeps going. He says, and the slide of your eyes, but, and there's a big but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. Wow, that's the tough part. Now, he's not throwing a damper on it because he continues by saying this. Remove vexation. Knowing that there's going to be a judgment, don't let yourself get caught short. That's what he's trying to tell us. Remove the things that are going to cause problem. Remove vexation from your heart and put away pain from your body, for youth and the dawn of life are vanity. Now, I want you to see two things that he says there. Because most young people, they ignore this, they go on their way, and then when they're adults, when they're my age, they're looking back on life going, oh, it hurts so bad. He says, you know what? You want to help your heart when you're older? Live wisely when you're young. Enjoy youth. But remember, there's a way to live it. He's telling young people to live life to the fullest. Enjoy it. Enjoy your youth. And sometimes, as Christ followers, the churches have always squashed that. No, go out and have a good time. Go out and do events and have good times and go whatever activities you like to do that are God-honoring. Do those things. Solomon is encouraging those who are young to live with adventure, live with excitement, because these are some of the best days of your life. And that, as I grasped that reality a long time ago, and even when I was a principal, a coach, all those youth pastor, I used to always tell the young people, hey, you know what? The best days of your life are right now. The best days of your life are right now. The problem with youth, and I was one of them, this is how I know, is so often we wish our youth away. We wish for days to come that are down in the future, and we wish away the best days of our life. Solomon's saying, hey, don't do that. Live life fully. Enjoy it. Live the adventure that God has given you, because God did bless you with this great youth that you can use to enjoy things. But the warning is careful. He's saying, as you sow your seeds, sow joyfully seeds, but sow healthy seeds, not wild oats. Did you hear me? I'm going to say it again. Sow healthy seeds, not wild oats. You know, one of the problems with youth is the stupidity of our choices. And I say that with all the love that I can muster up. Young people, we don't often count the circumstances, or we don't count the costs of what our choices are until they're too late. And that's why he tells us, be careful to remove vexation from our heart and pain from our body. I know a lot of young people in the prime of their life, they go out, especially they get to be 18 to 21, and they go out and they just start drinking and drinking and drinking, and they think that's the greatest thing, party, party, party. And they don't realize that when they're older down the road, they're going to have all kinds of health issues, and they're going to have all kinds of problems. They're killing their brain cells, they're killing their body. And that's what Solomon's sort of warning. He's saying, hey, you can party, but don't do silly. See, youth is no excuse for exploits that don't honor God. It's not a license to sin just because you're young and maybe foolish. Youth is given to you to enjoy it, to have that grand adventure, to explore things. And we should dedicate our lives to the service of God, the one who planned that adventure for us. The third thing he talks about the short life, enjoying it, is express your faith thoughtfully. In verse 1 of Ecclesiastes chapter 12, he says, remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days are come, those days when you get body pains and the vexation of your heart. And he says, and the years draw near, which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. He tells us in this passage right here, remember. And remember is about memories for most of us, but Solomon, as he uses his word remember, he says, remember your Creator. The term signifies commitment, involvement. He's encouraging these young people as he comes out of that whole live your life, that grand adventure God's given us of life. He's saying, hey, you know what? Be committed and involved with the one who created you. Remember that God owns you. He's the guy who created you for his pleasure, his purposes. And I know we don't always want to do that, but God, get with him. He's going to make life more enjoyable. Remember, that's the subject. How should we enjoy life? By remembering our Creator, by expressing our faith in God. Get with God, he says. Get with him daily as you spend time together. Get with him through his word. Get with him in service and with other Christ followers and fellowship. Get with him and honor him. And what he's trying to remind us of is if you go out and do the party thing, if you go out and live the sinful life and you treat your body poorly and you do silly, stupid things that you know you shouldn't do that don't honor God, what he's trying to say is, hey, you know what? One day you're going to have to pay the price on that. So remember him now and set a habit so you can enjoy life. Enjoying life is not about the little pleasures of sin. It's about the long pleasure of service, and that's really the truth. The fourth area, he says, which covers the biggest passage of Scripture, is how do we enjoy life? By embracing your aging thankfully. And that's for the rest of us who are moving up there in our years. So often, and I worked for a guy one time who really had a problem embracing his aging. He didn't like it, and I don't know if he was just scared for the future, but embrace your aging thankfully. You don't have to go out and have midlife crises and do crazy things. You're not going to gain anything from it anyway. But Solomon does paint a masterpiece in poetry of the expressions of what aging looks like. Notice and you can probably figure out most of these. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about them. But in verses 3 through 8, this is what he says. He says, before the sun. Now remember, he just told us to remember our Creator in the days of our youth. He says, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened. It's hard to see. There's not enough light. And the clouds return after the rain in the day, when the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men are bent. Our backs are over. We have back problems. Don't have those when you're young. You have them when you're older. And the grinders cease because they're few. Our teeth fall out. And those who look through the windows are dimmed. It's harder to see. I remember when I had 20/20 vision. Now I don't. And the doors on the street are shut. When the sound of the grinding is low, it's hard to hear. And one rises at the sound of a bird. Man, I remember when I could sleep in. Now it's hard to. And all the daughters of song are brought low. Once again, that's a hard of hearing. They are afraid also of what is high, and the terrors are in the way. Just a lot of fears. The almond tree blossoms. That silver hair, that's what he's talking about. The grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails. Because man is going to his eternal home. He's saying, you're moving forward. It won't be long now. You're going to end up dying. And he says, and the mourners go about the streets before the silver cord is snapped, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher shattered at the fountain, and the wheel is broken at the cistern, and the dust returns to the earth as it was. And the spirit returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all is vanity. It's worthless. So what he's saying here is before all these things happen, before life is spent, before everything runs out, and that's where he ends, before you look around and say, man, what happened? I missed life. He says, enjoy your aging thankfully. It's hard. It's hard. I've seen guys, I worked with a guy that had to, he hated it. In fact, he broke out hair dye and all kinds of stuff and tried to fool everybody that he didn't have gray hairs going. It was sad. He wasn't fooling anybody and looked pretty bad with that cheap dark black hair dye. But you know what? The truth of the matter is life can only be enjoyed day by day, little by little, bite by bite. We enjoy our youth thoroughly. We should express our faith thoughtfully. And finally, we should learn to embrace the aging process thankfully. Whatever life is for us, whatever life is for you, whatever you find yourself in, that is age or even state condition, every moment, even the hardships, broken arms and health issues, every moment is a gift of God. And it's brightly wrapped, waiting to be opened, admired, and delighted in. That's how we should view our days with God. We must not spend too much time complaining over life's shortness, because that defeats the very purpose of life itself. See, life is a gift, and each day is a present. That's why they call it the present. The time is to be used. The time is to be invested in joy and meaning. The time is something that is short, but we need to learn how to enjoy it. So I hope that this week you change your perspective. It's easy with the sun shining, the birds singing, and the flowers coming out, the trees starting to bloom. Enjoy spring. Enjoy the gifts of God. Enjoy today, and make every day a great day, even when things don't go your way, because God's in charge, and He is giving you so many blessings. Just remember to live life.
His name up high, 'cause his love goes on forever. His love reaches to the high.